Payment Pulse, a podcast by Clearent by Xplor, a leading full-service payments provider. Welcome to Payment Pulse, a podcast by Clearent by Xplor, where we have a goal of humanizing and simplifying the complex world of payments. My name is Steve, and today we are here with another guest. We are here with Ron Smith, the Vice President of Product here at Clearent, to talk about the topic, scaling SaaS platforms with APIs. Today's episode isn't just about, how payment APIs work, the functionality of them. It's really about how they're changing the way software companies think about product development, growth, and competitive edge. As more platforms, embed payments, APIs have gone from, being a back-end tool to a strategic asset. And they're helping SaaS providers, unlock new revenue streams, streamline onboarding, and scale faster, all without overhauling, their core product and taking away from, core product development. Um, Ron's a fintech veteran with over 25 years of experience across merchant services, product strategy, partnerships, and platform development. And he's known for turning complex payment concepts into clear, actionable insights and helping software companies build, better, more trusted payment experiences. So really excited to have Ron on today. I really, enjoy a lot of our conversations. If you've missed our most recent webinar, that was with Ron as well. We'll leave the description in that, or the link for that in the description. And that was our PayFac as a service myth busting episodes. Geez, I'm all over the place on my words today. Really great webinar, so definitely check that out. Like I said, that's going to be in the description. But all that said, Ron, how are you
Hey,
doing
Steve.
today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Um, we're nearing the end of the second quarter already. It's hard to believe, but we have a lot going on around the company and some pretty exciting deliveries that will be coming out of the product and engineering teams in a matter of days now. Um, it's nice to take a break, though, to talk with you again on another important topic.
Yeah, no, really, again, appreciate you having you on, taking time out of your very busy schedule and product development efforts. It's been great, a lot of new things, like you said. So I know I'm excited. New things to talk about is always fun. So good stuff. That said, let's start, at the foundation here really quick. How would you describe the role that APIs play in enabling today's software providers to build and scale their platforms?
Uh, APIs have never been more important, Steve, especially as technology continues to evolve at an exponential pace, seemingly everywhere we turn. Um, APIs themselves, of course, enable communication between different systems, sending and receiving data, which supports end users of software to perform all sorts of tasks in very simplified ways, really limitless types of tasks. Um, a key point about APIs is that they evolve. Um, that means that the capabilities built within the software application, built on an API, can increase as the API's capabilities increase. The result is an increased feature set and increased functionality. For developers, they provide an ability to streamline development, an ability to expand functionality more easily as software providers, continue to aim in enhancing end user experiences, improving speed of performance, ultimately with the goal of saving time and reducing overhead and operational costs. Um, Modern APIs foster innovation in a modular manner. Um, they're the foundation of software development. They are the most critical consideration for enabling seamless integration between diverse systems and platforms, easing the burdens and process of building applications that simplify complex workflows. The outcome is an interconnected and interoperable ecosystem that can be distributed across various environments. The evolution of APIs, which started out as a very basic information exchange, have been significantly impacted by the proliferation of the internet, more recently by advancements in cloud computing and microservices architecture that we see today. Um, in short, modern APIs are built with scalability in mind. They generally follow a defined API strategy of its provider. So it's an important question for software providers to consider when embarking on a new integration or when software providers decide to add new services or capabilities to their platforms.
Yeah, thanks for setting the stage there, Ron. It was a good quick summary there of the scalability of APIs for payment and software solutions. Um, with that said, I've kind of broken this episode out into a couple different sections, and that is transaction APIs, reporting APIs, and unified APIs. Um, for platforms, managing a large and diverse merchant base, what's the advantage of, building, for example, on a single transaction API versus managing multiple integrations?
Um, for this one, uh, when it comes to integrations in the payments industry, more is not usually better. An integration with multiple APIs, vendors, or payments providers usually means additional overhead and maintenance, an increase in PCI footprint and vulnerability risk, potential for varied or misaligned workflows from setup and implementation to transaction processing and reporting, not to mention the upfront investment in time and resources and potential for varied support models, escalation paths in the event of issues. Um, it can bring complexities that cause confusion as it pertains to operational support. When choosing a payments partner, it's important to explore the capabilities of their APIs. Understanding the API itself, the endpoints that the API supports, so to understand how flexible and scalable the architected solution can be initially and over time, as the software provider's needs and goals may change over time. We often work with software providers who juggle multiple projects simultaneously, occasionally aligning to an iterative, phased, or modular, delivery type of approach, building out support for different payment channels over time, or building out support for different payment methods over time, building out support for different transaction types over time. So it's important to assess the API's capabilities and their interoperability with related or subsequent workflows, being sure to understand the scope and impact and effort that you might face in the future, even if the immediate goal or your initial phase of a project and the corresponding API seems easily achievable.
Yeah, I think too, thinking about how I've kind of experienced things with partners, and having multiple payment integrations with multiple partners, and kind of bringing that to my experience today, it's also fragmenting revenue as well, and you could have different, revenue splits with, other providers, and ultimately that's like, Ron said, it's increasing your overhead costs, but it's also potentially diminishing the maximum amount of revenue return that you can have as well.
So
So, um, yeah, great points there, Ron. Um, moving on to this next section here, scaling data access with reporting APIs. Data becomes more complex, as platforms grow, especially when you're saving thousands of merchants or serving thousands of merchants, excuse me. How do reporting APIs play a role in making that data usable and accessible at scale?
um, you might have heard the phrase "data is king," Steve, um, and it is the truth. Data helps us all understand the state of something. It provides insights. It helps us make informed decisions. It helps us determine success and even formulate strategy. Data can be complicated, though, as can the accessibility of that data. Aside from information exchanges with transactional APIs, the reporting APIs can serve up even richer data sets, providing incremental value to software providers. Generally, the first concern is finding out what data is available and how to get to it. Um, Understanding how the API can augment data that you already have access to how it may help assimilate the information, so to reduce the work and overhead in managing and using the data once you receive it. Um, for us, Steve, we pride ourselves on data standards and accessibility. It's one of our top goals and commitments to our partners. Um, we make data available through transaction APIs, our merchant and partner portals, and through a reporting API with various endpoints that provide different types of reports, from transactions to merchant pricing, disputes and chargebacks, as well as deposits and statements. Um, However, knowing we have even more valuable data to offer, we set out earlier this year to rebuild our reporting API that leverages a single base URL with a more standardized endpoint structure that aligns directly with our new reporting suite made available in the partner portal. This way, software providers that work with us can get the data based on their own preference, and the data sets are consistent across the interfaces in which we deliver them. The API itself being scalable as we work to deliver new reports or data sets, allowing our partners to more easily, quickly gain access to them once they have been released. It is easier for our software provider partners, to maintain that integration as well. Um, the reporting suite we have today spans about 23 different reports, going much farther than our original reporting API could. Having the ability to gather data for an entire portfolio or a single merchant account, the new reporting suite can serve up information pertaining to setup, configuration, compliance status, billing information, pricing information, equipment, interchange qualification details, and even support tickets for merchants who have contacted our help desk. And we're not going to stop there, Steve, because we will continue to find ways to deliver more data in more insightful and actionable ways, including the incorporation of new tooling, such as artificial intelligence. So folks should stay tuned for that.
Yeah, really excited about a lot of the API work, the reporting API work that you and your team have been very actively chipping away at and enhancing consistently. It's really exciting stuff because, like you said, data is king. It helps with so much of the decision making, the strategy, all of that kind of stuff that you mentioned. It's really powerful. So super important, and yeah, appreciate the summary there. Um, Moving into the third kind of and final bucket that we have here with unified API and scaling into new regions. I think that's the biggest piece for this unified API mentioned. But expanding into new regions sounds exciting, for software companies, but it also often means, dealing with different banks, rules, payment rails. How can this idea of a unified API help reduce that complexity?
Um, for this one, just to start, um, it should be no surprise that Xplor's vision is a single global payments platform, complemented by a universal API set. That premise lies with your question. Dealing with the complexities of regional nuances that can span different vendors, rails, laws, rules, regulations, and beyond. Even terminology differs from region to region, which can have an impact from development to usability of that technology. The intent of our global strategy is not just the enablement of payment acceptance in new geographies, but doing so while taking on the burden of managing those nuances to make it quicker and easier for our partners to scale their businesses, rather than being a hindrance to their growth or cause for a partner to increase overhead with other payment processing providers. Um, no matter the region, we know software providers need to have an onboarding solution. We know that they need to accept a payment. They need the ability to maintenance a transaction, and they need the ability to provide, reporting and statements. These core functions of payments integration, transcend borders when you take the capabilities at face value. But obviously, a lot goes into them behind the scenes. There's a ton of variability from region to region, and it's hard to be an expert in all of it. Um, Meeting the needs of our partners who want to expand into other countries and grow their businesses globally means the need for us at Xplor to use our expertise to design and develop a platform and API set that effectively provides the logic and manages all of those nuances and complexities. The strategy results in taking what could otherwise be a resource intense, extremely complicated and time consuming initiative for our partners, maybe to a point of being impractical, to making it practical with Xplor. We have technology and payments platforms around the globe already. We use those platforms ourselves today. So we're well versed and experienced in all the flows in all of those regions. The ability for us to wrap all of that up in a single API layer means significant value to our customers. It means centralization, standardization, simplification, consistency. It means time savings, certainly reduced overhead. The value proposition can go on and on. We've paved a path here for scalability for ourselves, and we will allow our partners to share in the benefits of it too. It's certainly achievable, it's realistic, and it's why we've set out to accomplish it, Steve.
Yeah, the unified API is something I'm really excited about, and when I think of scaling, that to me is like um, the clear cut kind of solution or focus for what scaling actually looks like, and it's going into different regions. But like you mentioned, with the reporting API and transaction APIs, they all play a role in that scalability as well. And the way that they're built is critical to how they're then utilized and the application for that scaling. So, but the unified piece again to me is kind of like that clear cut. That's what scalability looks like. And so, really excited about the work again that you and your team are working on in that regard as well. So, kind of a quicker episode today. That's really going to wrap it up. Just want to touch on a few specific questions around these here. And this is a very complex topic, APIs in general. And, we could go on for hours and hours and hours, but really trying to keep this focus and high level for this kind of initial episode. I'm sure Ron and I will have additional conversations in the future, as well as other members of product regarding these solutions. But again, Ron, really always appreciate the time and you hopping on out of a busy schedule to conquer the world and move mountains and building products. So excited about
Always
that.
a pleasure.
That's that's going to kind of wrap it up, though. Again, if you missed the webinar with Ron and I around PayFac as a service and busting 10 common myths, really great webinar, super educational, and it walks you through, the definitions and the convolutedness of PayFac as a service in the market and how we approach it. That said, really appreciate the time again. We look forward to seeing you next week. If you have comments, questions, concerns, please leave them in the YouTube comments, the social media comments. Let us know. We really want to open the conversation up with you all as well. But that's going to do it for this week's episode, and we will see you next week.